It's a quarter to 11, a quarter to 10 in Queensland. Now, yesterday you might have seen reports that more than 70 international students a week are applying for political asylum in Australia. Figures provided in answer to a Senate question on notice show that in 2022 there were 3,850 applications for asylum from people who'd held a student visa, an average of 320 a month. This had risen to an average 350 a month in the first 6 months of 2023. In total, just under 6,000 current or former international students have applied for political asylum across this 18-month period. Between last May's election and the end of November, almost 26,000 plane arrivals have sought asylum in Australia. Almost 76,000 rejected claimants are awaiting deportation, while in September only 17 left the country. Just allow that to settle in. 76,000 rejected claimants. In September, 17 of them left. Now, this is one area of immigration. The other that really interests me is the effect it has on our economy. Leith Van Onselen is Chief Economist and co-founder of macrobusiness.com.au, regular guest on my overnight show. And now, when the sun's up, Leith, we're having a chat. Hope you're well, mate.
I am well. Thanks for having me, Luke.
Not at all, mate, not at all. So, from what we're hearing of what Claire O'Neill's suggesting will be the way forward here, I said in my opener, it's somewhere between way too late and too late. What's your take on it?
Look, mate, my takes, to be quite honest, it's a nothing burger. So basically, what they've announced is basically a knee-jerk reaction to obviously their polling. So Australians are pretty unhappy about this mass immigration. We've had record numbers, obviously got a rental crisis, all that sort of thing. And what they've basically come out is said, look, we're going to reduce it to a sustainable level, but they're not. Basically, they've still left the permanent migrant intake at a record high of 210,000, if you include the humanitarian intake. They've also left the temporary visa system uncapped and demand-driven. And effectively, all they've done is they said they're going to, slightly tighten foreign students to stop them from going into low-quality courses and crack down on dodgy colleges. But their own forecasts, Luke, say that we're going to have 375,000 net overseas migrants this financial year, which is 50,000 more than what they said in the May federal budget.
Jeez.
And then it's going to go to 250,000 the following year, which is basically the May federal budget. So it seems that sustainable immigration, which is what Albo said over the weekend, means a level of 250,000 plus, which is way above what we had, what the 2001 intergenerational report said, which was only 90,000 a year. So it still means we're going to careen towards over 40 million people in just 40 years, and it's going to mean mass population growth.
You and I have talked about this before. If you aren't building the dwellings, and you gave me some figures, I think a few weeks back now, where dwelling approvals, I think, or completions are down this year and they'll be down next year. So that's trending backwards, not forward. So we have this huge population growth comparatively. We're building less dwellings. So you've got more demand, lower supply. It only means one thing for renters. Good luck.
That's right, mate. The last week's national account said that the population grew by about 640,000 year on year, and that's against a net increase in dwellings of about 164,000. So it's basically the imbalance is getting worse and worse. It's going to keep getting worse because we've obviously got builders falling over left and right. We've got high inflation, high interest rates, high building costs, and a lack of skilled labour. So it just means we keep adding to the problem.
Yeah. What does it mean for keeping inflation under control? Does immigration on steroids, which is what we've had, does it impact the way, for example, the RBA can tame the inflation monster, if that's what it is?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, basically, we've got this the overall demand in the economy keeps growing because we've got this record population growth while individual households are cutting back. And unfortunately, we can't cut back fast enough to cover the increase in the number of households. And we're seeing that in the rental market with rental rates obviously going through the roof, and rents are actually one of the biggest drivers of inflation. So that's just one area. But basically, the RBA said they've got too much demand in the economy, yet the federal government keeps adding to demand, but through a population increase of about 640,000. So that's adding to demand and obviously adding to inflation.
So in relation to the problem, I'd see in the Australian one writer there says it's the decrepit baby boomers. Don't the decrepit so-called baby boomers, don't they live longer, can work longer. We don't properly, do we, engage with this part of our population?
No, we don't. Unfortunately, because of the means testing for the age pension, basically as soon as you hit 65, there's a big incentive not to work, and this is different to places like New Zealand, which basically have an age pension that's paid regardless of whether you work or not. And all it means is if you take additional work, you just pay income tax on it, and it's a much better system. And they've effectively got way more older people working in New Zealand because they've incentivised it, and that's basically what Australia should do.
And that will go some way to fill the skilled worker shortage, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely, mate. Yeah, obviously there's a lot of older people which would like to earn extra money, would like to work, but what they don't want to do is do that and then lose, 80 to 90% of it in taxes, effectively in taxes by losing the age pension. So we should basically just copy New Zealand there, and we'd have more labour supply without actually increasing the population.
Mate, you are a star. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no worries, Luke.
Good
Anytime.
to talk. Leek Van Onselen, macrobusiness.com.au. Check it out to get a different take on the day's economic news. It's good stuff.